Facebook a few minutes ago, there it is again, up today by 3+%, and little tech bounce back. Not only Facebook, Apple, Amazon, and Netflix, and all the rest seem to be higher today. Deke Digital, the chairman Dave Maney is our next guest on, I don't know, maybe a tech resurgence here, Dave. I mean, it's been such a rough month for some of these tech stocks. Have we finally hit bottom? What do you think?
My big theme is that these stocks are increasingly look like the rest of the market. They're five very different companies with very different businesses, little pieces of overlap. The economy companies are increasingly tech companies. So my own belief is that these companies will begin to move more in line with broader markets. So my answer to your question is, you tell me what the overall market's going to do, and that'll probably tell us what these stocks are going to do.
I don't know. Varney had some guy predicting things last hour. I better have him back, and maybe he could figure it out. The mentalist, but that's what. Hold on, Charlie. I'll tell you about this in a second. Yeah, he was. The guy was unbelievable, by the way. If you get a chance to watch it online, but who knows, Dave? You're right about the market overall. But when you talk about them lining up with it, you're talking about following the leader or being the leadership in the market that everybody else follows.
That's true. I mean, they are definitely companies that everybody kind of looks at. All I would tell you, and you could see it in the earnings announcements, or at least in Facebook yesterday, where revenue growth is now really decelerating. And yes, it's still very admirable by kind of normal company standards, but here's my mentalist prediction.
Yeah.
One of the FANG companies, one of them in the next 24 months, one of them is going to start to fall out of favor. One of them is going to turn into the IBM or the GE and the turmoil and because they can't all maintain that leadership position.
Well, if you're a true mentalist, you're going to obviously tell us which one is the most likely to do that.
Yeah, well, I could tell you, I actually think Facebook has the most risk of the five.
Okay.
And here's why. If you think about kind of what are the analogies in kind of regular life to these companies, here's a couple of them. Like, it seems to me that a company like Google is kind of like the electric utility. Like, it just works. You don't think about it that much. They don't have a brand impression on you other than kind of competence. Mm-hmm. But if you think about something like Facebook's kind of like your cable company. Like, they're constantly trying to do something that you don't like, yes, or sell you something you don't want, or change your channel lineup, and that ticks people off. And now they're trying to do this new thing with stories, and it just feels like it's a little bit a fashion-like, right? It's kind of like what's in today and what's not in tomorrow.
Right.
And B, it's not a good user experience. So I think they're the ones that have the greatest risk out of that group.
They're also more reliant on the swings and people's emotions that lead to kind of advertisers fleeing for one reason or another. Whereas if you're Apple, as we saw yesterday, they made a product announcement. You're Apple, you're selling real things. I mean, that's the other distinction between some of these companies, as opposed to lumping them in all together.
You bet. I mean, look, the internet is a tool that by and large lets us choose more and more, lets us have more and more transparency. And the one internet company that's truly like, you can't, this isn't your choice, pal. You take the feed we give you, is Facebook. That feels to me very up against a very big kind of large force, and it's not a force. I wouldn't bet on who's going to win that.
All right. Well, good stuff, Dave. Thanks for coming on as always.